Hi there, we're going to do a yin class to open up the shoulders, the upper back, and a little bit for the low back. So you don't need any props. You can just use a mat. If you do get cold during yin, you're welcome to have a blanket to cover up with. So we're going to start with child's pose. So I'm just going to ask that you listen to your body and do what feels right for you. I'm going to guide you through this practice and I will guide you out of the poses, but if you need to come out of a pose at any time before I instruct you to, please do so. Please listen to your body. Okay? So we're going to start in a wide-legged child's pose. So we're going to bring the big toes together. They may touch, they may not. And we're going to bring the knees out wide. And we're going to slowly walk the body onto the mat. So you're welcome to have the forehead down on the mat. Or maybe you turn your head to one side. And then just work on settling yourself in. Really reaching through the arms, spreading the fingers, and then settling in. So with a yin practice, we're trying to stretch the connective tissue, the fascia. We're trying to let the muscles relax. We really want to get deep into the body. Yin is a type of a meditative practice, in my opinion. So just constantly come back to your breath when your mind wanders. Let your breath be your anchor. Your head was turned to one side, you gently can turn it to the opposite side and settle back in for a few minutes. eyes turn to one side. You can slowly bring it back to center. Inhaling, bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. Lift the body up. Slowly stacking each vertebra. And then coming onto hands and knees and just doing a few rounds of cat-cow here. Inhaling, lifting the heart, lifting the tailbone. Feel that stretch in the belly. And then exhale, rounding through. Inhale. And exhale. So we're going to come into thread the needle next. So this is a nice opening for the shoulders and the chest. So we'll start with hands and knees, and we're going to inhale, reach that right arm up, and then exhale, slowly thread the right arm underneath the left, and gently come down onto the right ear and the right cheek. So this might feel just right. Maybe you extend your left arm alongside the mat. Or maybe you bring the left arm behind and rest it on the low back or maybe the right thigh. And then breathing here. Feeling that opening in the left shoulder, the left chest, breathing into the left lung. You can have your tops of the feet on the mat or you can tuck your toes, whatever feels good for you. And eyes can be open or closed. So another caveat of yin is that once we find our edge, meaning we didn't go too far or we didn't go deep enough, we remain still, except for the breath, following the rise and fall of the breath. 3 more slow, deep breaths here. And then we'll go ahead and release that left hand wherever you had it. The left hand comes back underneath the left shoulder if it wasn't already there. Inhale, press the body up. And then reach that right arm back up for a counter stretch. And then right hand comes underneath the left. Might feel nice to come back into cat-cows. I like to do a little bit of movement in between the poses in yin practice. Let's do one more here. Come back to a neutral spine. And then walk the hands up towards the knees, and we'll come to the second side. So I'm just going to switch so that you can see me better. Come back into that cat-cow. We're going to inhale, reach the left arm up now. And then exhale, thread that left arm underneath the right, coming down onto the left ear, left cheek. So this might feel just right. You can keep your right hand where it is. Maybe you extend the right arm out parallel to the long edge of the mat. That might feel good. Maybe you bring the right hand to the low back, or maybe it comes around to the left thigh for a bind. And again, you can have the tops of the toes on the mat. You can tuck the feet under, or the toes under. And then we'll settle in here for about 3 minutes. And then just noticing that opening in the right shoulder, the right chest, breathing into the right lung. And notice if you can soften anywhere, possibly your face or your jaw. Relaxing the muscles. We're trying to get deep into that connective tissue in our yin practice. So the third principle of yin is to stay for a while. Once we find our edge, we become still, and then we stay for a while. Letting this practice be introspective, turning inward, releasing. 3 more slow, deep breaths here. And then wherever that right hand is, go ahead and slowly release it. Bringing it back down alongside the face, and then inhaling, lifting the body up. Exhaling, unthreading the left arm, reaching it back up for a counter pose. Counter stretch, and then exhale. Bring the hands back onto the mat. So it might feel nice to do some cat-cows. Maybe you extend one leg out, pressing back through that right heel, keeping the right toes on the mat, pressing the mat away with the arms, rebending the right knee, and then extending the left leg out, keeping the left toes on the mat, pressing back through that left heel. And then rebend the knees, and then sit just on the heels momentarily, and then we'll slowly turn ourselves around. And we're going to come into a forward fold. If you happen to have any props, you're welcome to use those, maybe a block or a pillow. So we're going to sit up nice and tall, reach those arms up, and then exhale, slowly fold forward. So we're coming into caterpillar pose, which in a yin practice, we can round the spine. We're not trying to activate the muscles in a yin practice. We're trying to, again, stretch the connective tissue, the fascia, deep within the body. So it's perfectly fine to round the spine. You can let the feet fall out to the sides. And just let the head hang. So we're stretching the entire back side of the body, the posterior chain. So you're most likely going to feel this stretch all the way from the heels up into the neck and out through the crown of the head. Let your head and your neck hang soft, and then breathe here. Remember our 3 principles of yin. The first one is we find our edge, so it's not too little, not too much. We don't want to go too far where we can't stay in the pose, or if we feel any pain, sharp shooting pain. But we also don't want to go too little to where we don't feel any stretch, any stress in the body at all. The second principle is that we stay still. And the third principle is that we hold. We stay in the pose for a time. The 2 exceptions to staying still in a yin practice are, first, if there's any pain and you need to come out of a pose or modify, please do that. And the second exception is the deeper or the longer we're in a pose, sometimes the deeper we can go. So as you hold the pose, maybe you try to go a bit deeper. Maybe you bring the head down a little bit more. Maybe you stay exactly where you are. Stay for 3 more slow, deep breaths. Next inhale, slowly graze the hands up the legs, and then stacking each vertebra on top of each other until the head slowly comes up. Let's bring the hands and the arms behind us and then just lean back, opening up through the chest. If it feels okay for your neck, you might slowly just do a few neck circles in each direction. Your neck might have become a little fatigued with it hanging in that last forward fold. Make sure you go in the opposite direction. And then we'll bring the hands back up alongside of the hips. And we're gonna bend the knees, just bring the soles of the feet onto the mat and just windshield wipe the knees back and forth. Just getting a little movement in the hips. As I said before, I like to bring a little movement in between the yin poses. Go ahead and even that movement out. And then we'll do one last pose before Shavasana. So we're going to come down onto our backs and do a spinal twist. So you can bring the arms in front of you and then slowly roll down using your core. Or maybe you rock and roll a few times, getting a nice massage in the spine. Remember your practice, so you choose. And then once you find yourself on your back, take the arms down by your sides, and then we're going to bend the knees into the chest. So I have a few options for this twist. You can bring both knees over to the left. So just letting that right knee stack gently on top of the left. Maybe the left hand rests on that right thigh and that right arm comes out to the side. Or if you want to deepen the twist, coming into twisted roots, you're going to bring that right knee over the left and maybe even the right foot behind the left ankle, and then bring the knees over. So gaze can be up at the ceiling, over to the right, or the left rather, or over to the right if you want a deeper twist. So we'll settle in here. Just noticing where you feel this in your body. Feeling that length on the right side of the body and the twist in the left. Come back to that slow meditative breath. Letting our breath be our anchor for when the mind wanders. 3 more slow, deep breaths here. And if you've chosen that second option, twisted roots, just uncross the knees. Use your core and your back to bring your knees back to center. Before we come to the second side, you can either windshield wipe the knees back and forth or hug the knees in and rock from side to side. And then we'll come to the second side. So you have the option of hugging the knees in and then just twisting those knees over to the right where the left knee stacks on top of the right. Right arm can rest on the left thigh, left arm out to the side. Or if you'd like to deepen the twist, you can come into twisted roots where the left knee comes over the right. And then you might hook the left toes behind the right calf and then let the knees come over. And again, your head can be wherever it feels most comfortable. Maybe it's to the right, maybe it's up at the ceiling, maybe it's over to the left. And now we feel that length on the left side of the body, the twist on the right. Settle in for about 3 minutes on this side. Just remembering when the mind wanders, because it will again and again, just to notice kindly and bring your awareness back to your body, back to your breath again and again. 3 more slow, deep breaths here. If you were in twisted roots, go ahead and uncross that left knee. And then we'll all bring the knees back to center. Let's bring the feet out wide and bring the knees in towards each other for constructive rest pose. So we're just letting the knees rest, hands come on the belly, and then just slowly move the head from side to side. Just releasing any tension, any tightness in the neck. And then we're going to come into our final pose, relaxation pose, Shavasana. If you need any movement before you come into that pose, maybe you hug the knees in and rock from side to side. Maybe you open the knees out wide and circle the ankles in both directions. Maybe you're ready for Shavasana and don't need any movement. So whenever you're ready, just slide the legs out long. Let the feet fall out to the sides. Arms can come down by your sides, palms face up. If there's some other position you'd rather be in, sometimes I like to interlace my hands behind my head and then bring the soles of my feet together into Baddha Konasana. But come into whatever feels most restorative and restful for you. So we're letting these last few minutes of the practice allow us to soak in all that goodness that we just practiced on a deep cellular level. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just following the rise and fall of your breath. Relaxing, soaking it all in, into the body, into the mind. to deepen your breath. And bring some gentle movement back to your body. You could wiggle the fingers and the toes, wrists and ankles. Maybe you stretch overhead. Maybe you hug the knees in, really whatever feels good for you. And then roll to one side, coming into the fetal position, taking a few breaths here. Use that top hand and that bottom elbow to slowly bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Bring your hands together, your heart space. Thank you for practicing with me today. Thank you for sharing this practice with others. And thank you for allowing me to be your guide. From my heart to yours, namaste.